Hello YouTube! I am Pinstar and this is Cities Skylines Strategy and Tactics Episode 1. So, if about a year ago I got my first start on YouTube with Banished Strategy and Tactics, another city building game by Shining Rock Software, so it's only fitting that almost a year later I have at my feet here another city builder game, and man, have I been excited for it. You should be too. So let us dive right into it. We're going to be doing an homage to Ficklewood, the city in Banished. Also, if you want to see my original series on Banished, go ahead and check it out. There's a link to it in the description. Now, one of the things we did with Banished was we started the city off on hard. So you know what? We're going to do the same thing here with City Skylines. Now you might be asking how there's a hard mode? How do you enable it? Easy. If you go to Content Manager here, and then you go to Mods, there is a hard mode mod already built into the game. It's actually pre-packaged and developed by Colossal Order, and all you need to do is turn it on. Obviously it starts off turned off by default. The other modes we're going to we're going to be leaving as is, so we'll just be playing with hard mode here. It makes things more expensive. It makes it harder to level up buildings. It increases upkeep costs. It just makes things harder across the board. Meaning we're going to have to be playing a lot more diligently and intelligently. So that being said, let's get started. Now, I've taken a look at all of the different maps that they came with, and you can download custom or make your own custom maps. I happen to like their maps a lot, so I'm going to go with one of their maps, and I'm going to go with Blackwoods. I just really like the shape of the map, the layout, the different zones, the resources available. It just jives with me. It kind of looks a bit like the map that Ficklewood was. Not in topographically, but just in the feel of it. So we're going to go with Blackwoods. And of course, it's going to go to the city name, Ficklewood. Ficklewood shall rise again. Alright, let's get started. Okay, we are here with Ficklewood. So our starting location here is just this little peninsula here, surrounded by water. Got ourselves a off-zone connection to the highway, so at least until we buy another section, we can't really mess with our highway connection. But that's okay. That's okay. We don't need to mess with the highway right off the bat. We don't really have the money to play with that. Not that, and highways aren't even unlocked for us yet. Speaking of unlocking, everything in the game is locked except for building your first 2-square road. Now, I don't particularly like this design decision, mainly because it encourages the player to put a 2-line road right next to these things, and that's not what you want to be putting there. So what I do is I just make a little tiny construction bit like that, and then get it to get a partial refund. And that unlocks everything else, at least at the first milestone, or the non-milestones. So to get started in our town, I'm going to be building what I call the industrial coffee filter. Now, if you've seen my video on this subject, you'll know exactly what's going to go on here. But if you haven't, or just want a refresher, I'll demonstrate it for you now. So the industrial coffee filter zone is done in a couple of different ways. What we do here is we want to separate the car and the truck traffic away from each other. So when they come into the city on this highway right here, it's going to be cars and trucks. So we want to build our zone in a way that separates the two so they're not fighting over space. Alright, so for this zone right here, we are going to just continue this line out here as just a one-way street, and then do sort of an upward line up here. We want to go 4. That's a good height there. And then along the bottom here, we're going to switch over to 2-lane roads and draw this out. 4, maybe we'll go 5. So, perfect. Now for the exit to this particular build here, in order to get out of the zone. So truck comes in, comes up here, this is where our industrial zones are going to be, drops off their cargo, picks up some cargo, and then they need to get out of the city. Well, we want them to get out of the city without having to go on the roads of the rest of the city. So to facilitate that, what we're going to do is we're going to do sort of a little exit ramp here. So we're going to draw you down here, and draw you down here. Now, this little road right here, this little voop, this is for trucks that need to make multiple deliveries. So say they stop right here and they drop some stuff off, and now they have to go back and say deliver something here. Well, they can't go back down because this is a one-way road. So this allows them to loop back around. It's also good for emergency vehicles. Say they put out a fire here, to get back to the station, they don't need to leave town. They can just come right back here. But that being said, we do need a way to get to the exit for trucks that doesn't involve getting in the way of the roads around here. So the way I like to do that is we're going to do an overpass. So we'll start appreciably low to the ground here. And actually, I'm going to turn you over to curved roads. Alright, now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit the page up button, and that's going to tell it, I'm going to be telling it basically I want to go up a level. So now we are up a level. Actually, can I have it, let me switch back to a straight road. There we go. So what I want to do is I want to loop it around to get back here. Now, you do want a fairly smooth loop when it comes to looping around here. And I also had an idea of something I wanted to build here to sort of ensure that it's a smooth loop. And the city's going to need this anyway. So we're going to go over here to power, and I'm going to grab myself a wind turbine, because it just so happens that there's a real windy patch like right here. It's not the maximum wind of 8 megawatts, but it's close enough that it's 7. And that's good enough for me. Anything less than 7, though, I probably wouldn't bother. But if we build ourselves a wind turbine here, and then we go back here to our road, let's switch it back to actually freeform. Do this, draw this down just a little bit more. Make it like I said, it enforces a gradual curve. Oh, there, that's beautiful. Oh, beautiful. Actually, I could even make that tighter. I don't want to get too picky because I don't get as much of a refund for this. So let's make this a tighter loop. Beautiful. There we go. Now we have a nice little aesthetic here. I am going to be primarily building and giving you tips for functional benefits to your city, but where we can, we'll grab some aesthetic benefits to the city. So a nice little loop-de-loop around the windmill here. That's a nice aesthetic. That's good by me. And we've got our power production all set, at least in the very early parts of the game. 7 megawatts, which it's going to be making, is not going to go very far. So we're going to need more power soon, but this is enough to get us ready and going and active. Alright, so what we're going to do here is, let's see here. Oh, yes. So to complete the zone here, we need to go back here. Now, we've built a truck exit here. We need to build now a car exit. So commuters who are coming to their industrial zone jobs need to get home somehow. So this is how we're going to go about doing it. So we build ourselves a one-way road up here. Actually, we can take it off of... Way. We can take it off of that. We want to go up the same space as that road up here, 4 lengths, and we want to connect these two via two-lane road. So the bottom part of the zone is bidirectional, the top part is bidirectional, but the north-souths are one-way going up, and then for this extra road, one-way going south here, and then same deal over here. It's going to be one-way going south, like so. All right, and then this is going to lead us down to our to sort of the heart, the spine of the city, if you would. So we're going to turn this into a bidirectional road over here. Actually, what I want to do is let's put it right here in the middle and have it go down. Say, there we go. That's good. Then we go over here. We hook this up to that side, because it's going to be, I mean, this is essentially going, this is a two-lane one-way road going into a two-lane one-way road, so the transition's actually not that difficult. Now the two-lane one-way road going up here is going to hook up right here into this zone, so there's actually not going to be much crisscrossing of traffic over here, so this intersection is not going to be too painful in terms of people doing what they got to do. All right, so that takes care of that. Our money is looking still pretty good, and we got to get our infrastructure set for our residential zone. Now, I'm a big fan of the sort of the body metaphor for constructing your roadways. So you got a spine, you've got arteries, and you've got veins. And just as those are in order of importance. This is sort of our spine here. Our artery going off of the spine is going to be this paved two-lane road. Let's move it around there. We don't want too many arteries. Yeah, that's a good distance like that. And then our veins are going to be the next thing down, a two-lane gravel road. Now, as our zones develop, as our city grows and matures, and more importantly, as our bank account flourishes, we can start upgrading these to faster and more higher capacity roadways. But for now, this is what we need, because we can always upgrade this to a paved road later. We can upgrade this paved road to a 4-lane road later. And we can upgrade this spine from a 2 to a 6-lane road later. So always good to be able to upgrade that later on. All right, so these we're just going to be filling up here. Now you may be saying, Pinstar, what the heck are you doing? You're having your residential zones bump up against what's going to be your industrial zone. They're gonna choke on the pollution there. Not so much. I'll show you a little trick. I'll show you a little trick on how to make sort of a buffer zone without wasting a lot of space. All right, so I'm just going to do these three just with this as demand demands it. We'll make more zones over there, because we don't want to have too much in the way of wasted space, because that's going to require a lot of power lines and other utilities to be run there. Speaking of power lines, we do need to get some power over there. Now, we can zone industrial over here, and that'll take care of itself pretty handily in terms of spreading the power grid. In fact, we can just start off only zoning these little bits and pieces over here, so that they can spread that northwards without having to build the thing. For these, we are going to need a little bit of a power grid, so we're just going to run it just to here. That's it, just to there. And if we build residential zones over here and then commercial zones over here, they'll spread the power grid themselves. Now, the last bit's a little on the trickier side, and that's going to be our water, but we can't ignore it. So we are going to take another thing of power lines, and we're going to run it. Oh, that's too close to the line. We're going to run it all the way down the side here, like so. Now, repeat after me. Thou shalt never place this water drainage pipe upstream from the water pumping station. Never. Doesn't matter how far across the map it is. If one is in front of the other, eventually it will get polluted, and that will cause serious problems for your city. So these little arrows here are going to tell us that the water is flowing that direction. So downstream, we want this pipe. And we're going to want some room to grow the amount of sewage outflow pipes and whatnot over here. So don't put them next to each other like that. This one, we're gonna have this one, say, be up here. That's not bad. And all right, so we got power connected to you. And again, blue zone to blue zone is all you really need. So we'll connect you over there. Once the game recognizes the power flow, it'll start working out in our favor. And then, yeah, we got to get some pipes going. Now, the pipes do carry both water and sewage in them, so you do want to hook these two up together just in terms of the pipes. That won't make the water poisonous. And then, yeah, we want to start covering our zones here. At the very least, we want to start just by covering the zones that are going to be used, like so. And let's see. There we go. That should do it. I can always extend these out a little bit more as needed, but for now I think we'll have enough money. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. With 6,000 bucks to spare, I think we are in good shape. So let's start. Let's actually start zoning. All right, so we're going to start by laying down this as an industrial zone, and then lay this down. Actually, we'll lay this down once this develops, because that way this will be able to inherit the power without us having to fight with power lines over to there. As far as residential goes, we're just going to, like I said, encourage it to walk over to the other lines here. So we're just going to assign this little bit as residential, and then once this develops, zone it here and here and here. Commercial zone, we're not going to zone any commercial until the residential walk reaches over here. And that way we don't have to put down power lines. Alright, I think we are ready. So let's kick this off. Oh yeah, I have Chirper muted, because I'm going to be doing my own checking. Thank you very much. Alright, so we got our first bit of residential zone going over here, so I'm comfortable zoning up this bit, so we can start, transferring. Alright, now you're transferring over here, so I'm comfortable zoning that bit. Luckily, it does not cost you anything to zone, to actually place zones, unlike in SimCity games. Alright, we got that over there, so I'm comfortable placing that. And then I am comfortable putting down some shops over here and over here and over here. So that should do it for residential and commercial. And then once something develops there for industrial, I'll be comfortable doing that. Yeah, I know this is going to make a lot of noise pollution, but enough trees will be able to dampen that a bit. Alright, let's kick up the speed a little bit here. Yes, we are running a deficit here, but once... yeah, alright, we got our first industrial zone here, so now we can zone up this area. And that'll start naturally spreading power. Alright, beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Thing o' beauty. Alright, yeah, and as more and more zones develop and more people start moving in, we'll be able to do that. Alright, so yeah, more factories need to get up and running. Alright, so here we got the first people moving in. So they come in through here, but again, cars get filtered up this way. And this is without me expressly telling the game that certain roads are or aren't forbidden for trucks. There are ordinances that allow you to basically forbid areas from truck traffic. But here, you don't need to expressly forbid it, even if we had the option, because of how we design the roads. We attract people we attract trucks down this way, and we attract the cars this way, just by, you know, the intended destinations and the way the whole place is designed. Alright, so houses are coming up here. Those are going nicely. I think what I'm going to do to cut down on maintenance costs, and also while I still have the cash, is draw another road right here. Make some residential zones here before I run out of money. And then once we get some residential zone development over on this side, we can nix this one chunk of power lines. But we might not necessarily go negative here. All right, so we got development here, so we can nix those, which means we can now replace those with proper residential zoning. So yeah, info windows. Let's take a look. So see how the power grid has expanded itself naturally just based on the zones developing? That's all the zone to zone touching power sharing is great because we don't have to pay for it. I mean, we have to pay for the power, but we don't have to pay to run lines. Once the residential zone gets even further over here, we can get rid of this little segment. It won't be until we develop all the way down here and all the way across here that we'll be able to get rid of these power lines. But sometimes some sets of power lines are inevitable, and having these structures rather than like a water pump or water tower, I should say, probably for the best. Alright, what I am looking at, however, is our power. Yeah, see, look at that. We are already... Wow, that thing's only sucking 6 megawatts. You told me it would be 7 megawatts, you liar. Alright, so we're going to start running into some power issues soon. Unless we... hopefully, our goal is to hit our first population milestone, which I think is 400 something. So we're probably going to hit a few power problems before then. Because, yeah, this thing is $23,750 and costs $700 a week. Oh, wait. All right, good. $340. It wasn't $440. And that's wonderful that we hit this first thing, because that gives us access to some much-needed goodness. Okay, so that gives us a healthy windfall of $20,000, and I think I'm going to use that to I think I'm going to actually take out that loan that it opened up, $20,000 loan. We can afford it because we need that power plant, honestly speaking. Because it's not really viable to build tons of these things. We just built it as sort of like a launching spot for our city. So now that we have that, we're going to supplement it with some yucky, dirty power here, which I'll build right here. Yeah, that's fine. And that also gave us access to garbage and education and medical. Education is going to be our next thing, but garbage needs to be taken care of, because if you let that pile up, it just snowballs into a problem. So actually, right next to here, we're going to place down our garbage chute. So yeah, got our garbage trucks going. Alright, and with the rest of this money, how far away is the school? Or how much is the school, rather? 12. Alright, so we're just shy of the school, but I want to use some of the cash to continue building our zones here. Because this is what's going to make us our money back, is actually having developed zones. So I'm going to finish building you here. Nope. There we go. We don't actually want this to connect. Like, we don't want it to join in and become an offshoot, because that would snarl traffic pretty nastily. But we do want, yeah, that over there. Perfect. Yeah, these guys are probably going to whine about the noise, but they'll deal. And I think I am going to get another one-way road going up here, just to prep ourselves another line for that. How are we on? Alright, yeah, and we got all the pipe coverage that we need. Beautiful. Alright, yeah, our weekly income's going to drop because of that loan and because of our new expenses, but we've got ourselves some new zoning development opportunities. Alright, so let's kick you into high gear. Once these zones develop up here. And again, just as a reminder, this is hard mode. If this were not hard mode, we would be running a profit right now. We would be running a profit, and we probably have about, say a couple $1,000 more bucks in the bank right now, because everything would have cost us so much less. And also, stuff would be developing a lot faster. RCI demand is actually kind of curtailed on hard mode, so it takes longer and more environmental demand to get these to actually start showing and growing in bars to actually spur on development. Oh yeah, should probably actually zone these. That might help. And yeah, let's zone you too. There we go. Now people can actually start growing their stuff. But yeah, as more and more zones develop proper, we'll start seeing more and more tax income, and that will bring us back into the black, which is where we want to be. And we've actually hit our next milestone here, which also means another chunk of change. So we get districts, we get policies, we can tap into a second loan, probably not going to do that. And industry specializations and service policies, yes. Police department, fire department, unique buildings. So lots of good stuff coming our way, but also a lot of stuff that we got to spend cash for. So I think this is a good stopping spot. So in our next episode, we're going to be covering districts, we're going to be covering buffer zones, we're going to be covering industry specialization, we're going to be covering a lot of good stuff. So keep your eyes peeled. So if you like this episode and you want to see more like it, go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave me a comment, good, bad, or indifferent. Your feedback is always welcome. So until next time, this has been Pinstar, signing out. See ya.